Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Sodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banacharya Yamuna Tira Banacharya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Paradavatara Sata Sri Srimadi's Divine Grace of Boy Charana Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Nant Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Shil Haridasa Kaur Ki Prem Sevaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhana Ki Vrindavan Dama Ki Mayapur Navadvip Dama Ki Gangamai Ki Jamunmai Bhakti Devi Ki Tulsi Maharani Ki Gaura Premananda All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, chapter 20, conversation between Maitreya and Vidura. This is text 47 on the board. Dehena Vaibhogavata Sayano Bahuchintaya Sage Nupachite Krodad Utsasaja Hatad Vapuhu Dehena Vaibhogavata Sayano Bahuchintaya Sage Nupachite Krodad Utsasaja Hatad Vapuhu Dehena Vaibhogavata Sayano Bahuchintaya Sage Nupachite Krodad Utsasaja Hatad Vapuhu Dehena, with his body, vai, indeed, Bhagavata, stretching out full length, Sayanaha, lying fully stretched, Bahu, great, Chintaya, with concern, Sage, the creation, Anupachite, not proceeded, Krodhat, out of anger, Utsasaja, gave up, Ha, in fact, Tat, that, Vapuhu, body. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 verses before the next purport, so I'll just read through them and comment a little bit and then get down to the real business which is there in the large purport. Translation. Once Brahma lay down with his body stretched at full length. He was very concerned that the work of creation had not proceeded apace, and in a sullen mood he gave up that body too. In a sullen mood, I guess, is a translation of out of anger. Lord Brahma, next, motivated by anger, continues with the creation. Text 48. Yehi yanta mutaha kesha ahayaste anga jagnire sapa prasapataha krura naga bogoru kandaraha. O dear Vidura, the hair that dropped from that body transformed into snakes, and even while the body crawled along with its hands and feet contracted, there sprang from it ferocious serpents and nagas with their hoods expanded. So Lord Brahma, just by lying down and desiring to create, then different aspects of his body manifest and then they transform into certain creatures. So here, from his sullen mood, from his anger, lying down full stretch, it's not working out properly, snakes came out. Text 49. Sa atmanam manyamanaha krita krityam ivat mabuhu tadar manun sahsajante manasa lokabhavanam. One day Brahma, the self-born, the first living creature, felt as if the object of his life had been accomplished. At that time he evolved from his mind the Manus, who promote the welfare activities of the universe. So he's starting to feel satisfied. The object of his life had been accomplished. Continues to do his service. Text 50. Tebyaha srisjata swayam puram purusham atmavan tandrisvaye pura shrishtaha prasasam su prajapatim. The self-possessed creator gave them his own human form. On seeing the Manus, those who had been created earlier, the demigods, the Gandharvas and so on, applauded Brahma, the Lord of the universe. I guess I've got an affinity for Manus. I was initiated Manu Das a long time ago. When I was given the name, I got a little slip of paper which was an explanation of what the name meant. Here we understand Manu, he's the form of the human. He gives the rituals, the law and order, Manu Samhita, and father of mankind. But the name or the explanation of the main name that I was given was Manu, manifest in mantra, which was interesting. So Manu Das, to be the servant of he who is manifest in mantra. One more verse. Aho etaj jagat shrastaha sukritam bhatate kritam pratishtitaha kriya yasmin sakam anam adamahe. They prayed. They referred to the demigods, the Gandharvas, and so on, who are applauding Lord Brahma. They prayed, O Creator of the universe, we are glad. What you have produced is well done. Since ritualistic acts have now been established soundly in this human form, we shall all share the sacrificial oblations. Purport. The importance of sacrifice is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, verse 10. The Lord confirms there that in the beginning of creation, Brahma created the Manus along with the ritualistic sacrificial method and blessed them. Continue these sacrificial rites and you will be gradually elevated to your proper position of self-realization and will also enjoy material happiness. All the living entities created by Brahma are conditioned souls and are inclined to lord it over material nature. The purpose of sacrificial rituals is to revive gradually the spiritual realization of the living entities. That is the beginning of life within this universe. These sacrificial rituals, however, are intended to please the Supreme Lord. Unless one pleases the Supreme Lord, or unless one is Krishna conscious, one cannot be happy, either in material enjoyment or in spiritual realization. Om Gyan Timarantasya Gananjana Shalaka Chakshusundritam Dena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance. My spiritual master forced my eyes open with the torchlight of transcendental knowledge. Therefore I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. A little bit of an elaboration of the the business of Lord Manu. And then in the next chapter of the Bhagavatam we hear the personality. There's the rasa and the tattva. There's the truth about such a personality, and then there's the rasa, the flavour. So the truth is that Manu came, and with him Brahma arranged for all of the ritualistic sacrifices, the activities which are necessary for human beings to become civilized. Otherwise, they're just two-legged, two-armed animals. A human being means civilized, one who understands, one who can reason, one who knows the goal of life, the purpose of life. Otherwise, just a polished cat or a dog. So Manu has brought these, and everybody's happy. The Gandharvas, the demigods, because when there's sacrifice performed, then the sacrifice, the yajna, will produce good results, happy results. And then all of the demigods, they can enjoy their part. They don't have to act as the adidaivika klesha, the source of suffering for the living entities. The first part of the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, text number 10. Be thou happy by this sacrifice. At the beginning of creation, this is what Krishna told to everybody. Speaking to Arjuna, that he told to Lord Brahma. There's an interesting rendition of some verses in that area. Okay, let's see. Okay. The various rituals that are a part of spiritual life, chanting, praying, worshipping and meditating, are opportunities for us to spend time with Krishna. If we forget or neglect this core purpose of the rituals, then they become hollow shells. Their performance becomes a burden that brings little spiritual purification or enlivenment. Worse still, the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, text number 6, a little bit before text number 10, warns that they can degenerate into exercises not only in futility, but also in hypocrisy, especially when the external engagement in spirituality is belied by an internal obsession with non-spiritual or even anti-spiritual indulgences. But if we infuse our performance of spiritual activities with the quality of devotion, with the sincere intention to love and serve Krishna, then they become precious opportunities to bask in his sublime presence, to let our troubled minds be reassured and pacified by the healing stillness of his presence, to let our hearts be illumined and kindled by the resplendent power of his presence. When we start experiencing that potent presence, then the time that we spend with Krishna becomes the most eagerly awaited period of our schedule, the most cherished part of our day, the foremost divine passion of our life. We hear about sacrifice, we hear about rituals, and if we don't have experience in Krishna consciousness, we relate them to other experiences in the world, empty rituals. And even as Chaitanya Charan was saying, they might not have the proper goal. We're not trying to please Krishna. In fact, they can be anti-spiritual, the rituals. And there are many rituals in the mode of ignorance which are meant for harming the living entity. Mode of ignorance means destructive, destroying, breaking down, not conducive, torturing. So, with the proper mood of devotion, then the activities which we perform in Krishna consciousness, chanting, praying, worshipping, all these different activities, then they become full. They develop a life of their own, and they help us to become closer to Krishna. And as what Chaitanya Charan Prabhu was saying, that it gives us an opportunity to spend time with Krishna. One devotee described that japa, attentive japa, when they've got their time for japa, it's me and Krishna. I'm requesting Krishna, please engage me in your service. I'm focusing on Krishna. I'm hearing your name. I'm not getting distracted. One of the main offences in chanting is to be inattentive while chanting. To invite Krishna to come and appear on your tongue as a guest comes into your house. To invite them in, but then to ignore them. So Krishna is present in his name. Krishna is present on our tongue. Krishna is present with us when we can be focused, intent with him. So in the purport to that verse, chapter 3, text number 10, Srila Prabhupada, he makes a very nice statement that, and he talks about these rituals, talks about sacrifice, talks about yajna, talks about the process of pleasing Krishna. He mentions that the Sankirtan yajna, that's the cheapest, the most effective and easiest process in this day and age. And Prabhupada very pleasingly describes that Sankirtan yajna and Krishna consciousness go well together. It's the process for this day and age, Sankirtan yajna, the Yuga Dharma. So that's how we get Krishna conscious. Back in the days of yore, the sages were discussing amongst themselves, which is the most auspicious age? Satya, Treta, Dwarpa, Kali Yuga. And they wouldn't even say Kali Yuga. It was just despicable. It's such a degraded age. So they couldn't decide amongst themselves which was the most auspicious age. And they went to Vyasadeva to consult with him. he was taking bath at the time in a big tank of water. So they're still discussing, and they summoned him, please come and help us out. And then my Guru Maharaj, he describes this story, and he makes all of the sound effects, the sage rising up out of the water and being posed the question, what's the most auspicious age? And he quoted a verse from the Bhagavatam, Krite Jayatam Pumsam, I can't remember the rest of it, but of the ages, the most auspicious age for making spiritual advancement is Kali. And the sages couldn't believe it, that Vyasadeva went back down. They asked him 3 times to confirm it. The explanation is that Kali Yuga, where we've got a short lifespan, Manda Sumanda Matayo, we are mostly discouraged, we're mostly disturbed, we're short-lived, we've got so many minimal qualities. The Sankirtan Yagya, the chanting of the holy names, is the most effective way of becoming close to Krishna, giving up our material attachments, giving up our miserly, niggardly attitude towards life in this material world. It should be auspicious, should be full of life. There's another description that Srila Prabhupada makes at the end of his purport in chapter 3, text number 14, I believe, where he describes the normal way, the normal system, the normal cycle of living with civilized people. It's in the beginning, all living beings live on grains. Grains come from rains. There's not sufficient rain, then it's hard to grow anything. Rains are born of sacrifice. Rains, you have to perform sacrifice in order to get rain. And then the sacrifice are born of prescribed duties. And then the purport Prabhupada describes that, therefore, the prescribed duty in this day and age is to glorify the Lord. And at the end of the last line of the purport, he says, therefore, we should perform sacrifice. We should perform these ceremonies for pleasing Krishna. We should, as much as possible, get out and chant Hare Krishna. Because that will, the minimum it will do is it will save us from having to suffer scarcity of food. Without proper sacrifice, then people are always worried, where am I going to eat? What am I going to eat? They think if I've got some money, then I can always go and purchase something, but it won't satisfy me. In order to be properly happy, at the end of the purple here was described, Prabhupada was describing, that you have to be Krishna conscious. You can't be happy in the material world unless you're Krishna conscious. You can't be happy in the material world. Even the mode of goodness, performing all these rituals, performing all these sacrifices, they won't appease the heart. And the holy names is the only way. But to perform sacrifice, many people, they say, I wish we could go back to the good old days when we're out in the street 8 hours a day just chanting and dancing. But it's not easy. It's a real sacrifice. I know you, Harinam Ruchi, the members there, they focus, they take attention to perform the sacrifice, but then they've got to have the downtime in order to recover. They've got to come to places like New Govardhana Farm where they can recharge their batteries. I remember hearing stories of Madhud Vissa. He was a GBC in Australia for some time. He was here. As he got older, he would still go out and perform the sacrifice. He'd be chanting and dancing, but then he'd be on his back for 3 hours afterwards. It was just exhausting to be in public, to be... Of course, there's the sustenance, the excitement, the exhilaration, the satisfaction. And a lot of that's from the audience factor, the reciprocation with the people who suddenly, they wake up and they've discovered that they're becoming happy. I heard one statement from the boys that people were making the comment, we're going out to party and we want to dance, we want to enjoy, and we can go hard for about 10 minutes. We've got drugs, we've got all these facilities there. But you guys, you go non-stop for 3 hours, just chanting and dancing. And you have a certain source of power, and the quality of your chanting is so sweet. So it's an endeavour to maintain oneself in that fit state, and young, have energy to be able to chant. Even if you're old, though, you can still chant, but you have to then take rest for 3 hours, flat on your back. Jnana Samudra also, he was always chanting and dancing whenever you saw him in public, because he realised that his body's breaking down, and if he doesn't put in an effort now and use it properly to serve Krishna, he's going to be crippled and lamenting. So, Sankirtan Yajna, when it's possible, we can go for it. When it's not possible, we have to retreat a little bit and work on our own personal sadhana to keep ourselves fit, so that any opportunity we get, we can speak about Krishna, we can glorify Krishna, we can take our bhakti out in public, take it to the people. One of our friends, Rupa Raghunath, he's a warrior out there distributing that mercy. But he's developed a tolerance. He's got a threshold to how much effort he has to put in order to actually get onto the transcendental platform. And it's about 4 or 5 hours of hard work up and down the sidewalk. And then after 4 or 5 hours of controlling the mind and engaging people in Krishna's service, then he reaches the threshold and he feels like dancing. He becomes blissful and ecstatic. So it's like you have to put in the endeavor. You have to get up on that platform. If you don't start, like I've often heard it say, when you chant japa, don't chant just one round on its own, because you haven't even got the motor running. You haven't even got moving. You've got to commit to 4 rounds, and then you'll start to feel that you're a little bit above the modes, a little bit in the japa zone or the kirtan zone. We did some yoga classes with Krota Shamani, and she would describe the pranayam zone. You can hear about it, but unless you practice it, unless you put yourself in the position to get the benefit of it, then it's not going to manifest. You can't give up after a short period of time. And you can't give up thinking that, well, it's promised, this is what I'm supposed to be getting, but it's not happening. There's no time factor in that. There's no hard and fast rules for chanting Hare Krishna. It's not as though we're going to experience the topmost love of God just because this is the Yuga Dharma. Krishna consciousness, they go well together. You have to work on it. And in due course of time, then we'll see that all of that hard work and that sweat and those emotions and suffering and tolerance and things that we put into it, then we create a very auspicious future for ourselves and for others. So Lord Brahma, he's continuing with his service. He's come to the point of creating the Manus, and they've brought with them the ritualistic processes for mankind by which human beings can gradually become more inclined towards the spiritual platform. The Sankirtan Yajna, you can, overnight, you can instantly get a taste, and there are people who have just dropped everything. So this is where I want to be. Kirtan Ras, this is the happiest place in the world. I want to be here with you guys. But then it takes some time. You can't automatically do that. When I became inspired to join the temple, the first question the manager said was, well, how many rounds are you chanting? And I said, 6. He said, well, go back home, get up to 16 rounds, give up your attachments, and then what happens when you become fit and situated in a steady, consistent practice, then what you do is you just change your location. Instead of rubbing shoulders with the non-devotees, you can come and live with the devotees because you're already up to speed. You've reached that threshold point. So we should encourage people, there should be backup, there should be support to practice the Yajna practice the sacrifice, and the end result is it's tangible. We used to go out on Harinam in the early days, and just no cares in the world, just singing and dancing, and then to put the icing on the cake, we'd get back home, there'd be a huge feast waiting for us. Srila Prabhupada, he said that all of your problems can be solved by engaging in this sacrifice. They were having financial problems in the temple, so they thought, well, let's see, we'll go and chant Hare Krishna. And then they were getting a collection. First day was $7. They thought, oh, this is something, this is not bad. Next day they went out and they collected $12. And they thought, wow, it is possible. It does work if we just engage in this sacrifice of trying to please Krishna. And the most pleasing sacrifice for Krishna is to go out in public and to share the holy names, to spread the holy names, to give people our association. We thought, we fell into that hole, or that thought that we had to collect money. But after a while, we realized that, well, if you chant Hare Krishna nicely, then, as they used to say in the old days, it's just like after having 16 solid rounds under your belt, or having been performing the sacrifice, you can just wave your arm around, and all the Lakshmi, it's floating around by your purification. They say more used to come out of the japa bag than just your finger. All of the results of your sacrifice will produce so many wonderful results. So we got the realization, okay, we're going out, we're performing the sacrifice, but the main thing was to give association to other people, to give them the opportunity to take association. So, and we used to be on Harinam in Poland on the Polish tour, and it was a 60-day festival, one night after every night, and it was exhausting. So we'd be encouraged, put on a smile. You're exhausted, but put on a smile. People are looking at you. They want to see. You're telling everybody, if you chant Hare Krishna, you'll be happy. They want to see, is it for real? So you put a smile on your face, and suddenly the atmosphere just, yes, yeah. And even we'd spell it out to them. We'd make a speech in the middle of the kirtan. Look at these people, they're so happy. It's not as though we're slipping them all a $50 bill and say, just come in and... No, it's real, it's tangible. So put on a happy face and make it obvious. Let people feel the excitement, feel the satisfaction. And even if you're not feeling up to it, just put on a smile, and then they will reciprocate with you, and it becomes more and more an exchange of you're giving what you can, and they're appreciating. So other pleasures, they pale into insignificance. Don't get distracted. Don't lose sight of the goal. Don't get bamboozled by other things. And even if we only get that taste occasionally, once in our life, we should preserve that taste. Srimati Radharani, she remembers moments of association and exchange with her beloved Lord. She takes those moments and she keeps them stored in a little box, a little jewelry box, and every now and then she takes them out and she polishes them and she worships them. She offers incense to those moments of remembrance, of realization, and then in that way they remain fresh. So even the taste is not there, we have to remember those exciting, thrilling, fantastic realizations, and we have to live and remember and cultivate our faith in that those things we got to taste, they will be there, they will increase more and more in due course of time. So does anybody have any questions or comments or Sankirtan stories, anything they would like to add to the creation that's going on here?
I have a problem that people ask about, Sankirtan stories and memories, but it's all a blur because we do it every day. So you're talking about preserving these moments, and it seems to be like I never heard about Srimati Radharani doing doing that. It's the first time I heard it. So it seems to be like a practice of preserving moments of taste, of like blissful moments. So what can a devotee do to do that?
You have to visit them. When you've got time, you just reflect. Like my time in Mayapur doing service there, every now and then I just flick into okay, I'm in Mayapur, what happened there? Who did I see? Who are the great souls? Where are the places I go? There's one devotee in Mayapur, a friend, he practices going into the temple every day and standing in front of the deities for 2 hours. And I was standing next to him and he let me in on a bit of the secret. He would minutely examine and he would comment to today you've got 7 different beautiful forest flowers and your hair has been decorated like this. You engage in an interaction with the personality, with the service, with the realization, and you churn those things. Well, what was happening? Who was it I was with back there? What was the experience? You keep a diary. I write down in my diary every interaction I have every day, every devotee that I meet, and it sparks a memory and of the auspiciousness, the wonderful experiences, the mercy that we've received. So, and after that, then there's the diary can be expanded, stories can be written. It's these as it's been described. These are the modern day pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they need to be valued and put into their proper context and then shared. And the most significant one that you've loved the most and the one you've repeated again and again and you fine-tuned it, those are your stock standard stories. But to be a good storyteller, that's what's happening in modern day society and the local culture here, the Aboriginals, their way of preserving the culture was telling stories. So to become an expert storyteller and to have the substance there to back it up, the personal experience and the shastric reference, you put it all together and create nice stories. It's a practice, definitely. But we shouldn't be misers, we shouldn't have those experiences. Jayadvaita Maharaj, he said about the food for life, half of it is to distribute the prasadam. And when you distribute the prasadam, you should tell people, chant Hare Krishna so they understand what it is. And then that's only the first half. The second half of it is to tell people about it. Well, we distributed so much prasadam, there were koftas flying all over the place and people were dancing, it was an ecstasy. And then that's what we did. So packaging things and advertising, we're not just out here having to perform the sacrifice on its raw merits. There's memories, there's realities, there's truths that we can share with other people so they can, and you can back it up with personal experience. So they're a resource, those realizations. We get those realizations and we have to treasure them. So many every day and you forget, well, I don't know, you wake up in a different city every day and you wake, where am I? What am I going to do? Oh yes, I'm going to chant Hare Krishna. My Guru Maharaj, he's in a place, and if there's not something exciting happening, after about 10 minutes he said, let's go and hurry now. And that fills the day up, that gives satisfaction. So you're in a particular position to do like that, other devotees are not, that's not their service, so they can also remember, why am I here? What's the purpose of life? What's the goal of life? And then to remember the exciting parts. Oh yeah, it's to be like that. Oh, it's not happening. Let's go and talk with somebody. Let's go and find somebody that I can discuss, that I can hear. They can pour nectar in my ear and I can become inspired again. Thank you, bro.
Thank you so much.
Nice angle. Lucas.
Thanks for the class, Prabhu. At the beginning of the class, you were saying how one of the goals is to become civilized people. But quite a lot of the personalities that inspire me were not civilized. Like, you know, they're a bit more kind of out of the social norms, but I guess that was because they had like a deeper taste. So how would you describe that when, like, obviously not everyone is civilized when they become more like higher consciousness.
Yeah, there's inspiration from nature. In the 11th canto, it's described that there are 50 gurus, so many different gurus: the spider, the prostitute, so many things that you can gain inspiration from, and the python, the man who's lying and acting like a python, the bumblebee, the wasp. It's also described that there are 400,000 species of humans, but they're in different grades. There's subhumans, there's demigods, there's higher humans. To become civilized, in the terms that we're discussing here, was to become Krishna conscious, to become a devoted soul, understanding that you're not the body, you're a spirit soul, and that Krishna is the goal of your life, and to please him and to get more knowledge about it. So that's the goal. That's what it means to become civilized, to understand who I am, what is my service to Krishna. Some people, they have as you said, they're uncivilized or a little bit different. They have an imagination that my personality, who I am, it's an aspect of my mind, an aspect of something weird that I can put together. So in order to bring them to the point of Krishna consciousness, you can ask them, not who are you, but what are you? And if you can answer that question, I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul, and that's a significant way of elevating, helping people to come to a proper civilized state. Civilized means that you can be consistent, you can follow through, you can put your money where your mouth is. It's not just like a catchphrase, not just a pretender. That, okay, I'm one with God. Okay, well, show me your universal form. Put your money where your mouth is. So there's different things you can understand about that. I don't know if that was the point of your question, because you said a lot of things, and there was a couple of points I picked up on. Thank you.
Haribol. Thank you for a nice class. I think it was very interesting what you talked about the threshold, and we all experience that in different areas of service. My question is that the reason why it's hard to get over that threshold, is that what constitutes the sacrifice?
Yeah, sacrifice means, and surrender means, going above and beyond the call of duty. So it's not as though you clock in every day and you do your service but going that little extra yard, extra mile. That's overcoming the sacrifice. You're not just, you volunteered, you've signed up, you're going to do your duty, but then to actually really surrender, then you have to go above and beyond. In Sydney once we were doing the book marathon, and every day we were going out, but then somehow or other I got the service of every evening putting the deities to rest, which means changing their outfit. So beautiful, you're out in the street and just getting some realization, but then you get the opportunity to be in the temple, on the altar with the deities, Radha Gopinath. So I was exhausted, and it was just doing the service, but then being pushed by the sacrifice. The threshold is real. Why is it so intense? I started questioning in my heart. Why is it so, okay, I'd like to come and do this service another time, but why does it come now in the middle of all this other exertion? It's too much. And then I got the realization, well, I'm training you up to understand that you're a servant. Just have this beaten into you. If you can't get this trained into you then you can change your ashram, and then you'll be forced to bow down to the lotus feet of Devidasi, and you'll realize you've got to serve. So on the altar, let's just learn that lesson. Become a servant, and then any time become a servant. Remember that please the master. Whatever you can do, think of ways. And a good servant, a good manager, they're always saying, "Oh, there's something missing. There's something more that I can do." Kadamba Kanamraj, he wrote in one of his books about devotional service. You've got to find about devotional service, and then you've got to do devotional service. And then you've got to find the gaps where you can push some more devotional service and cram some more devotionals. A servant is always looking for opportunities to serve, to find more and more ways to increase. And then your threshold will go up and up and up, and you'll get some more exciting, more intimate service available. And that'll make it all worthwhile, and you just keep on sacrificing. Your time, your heart, your feelings. Oh, I'm suffering. Why are you suffering? Because you're reluctant to engage in service. You're reluctant to remember Krishna. So if it takes that much to break through our stubborn, hard-hearted demeanour, then great, thank you, Krishna. Thank you. I can hear there's a call for another aspect of service. We have to honour the Lord's prasadam, see him in his beautiful manifestation. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for participating and hearing. And Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.